We will rejoin the Olympics in just a few moments, but coming up right now on the Eyewitness News Update, the women jailed for trespassing at the Sperry plant in Eagan are unexpectedly released.
Walter Mondale makes a quick visit to Minneapolis and takes a quick swipe at President Reagan.
Also today, castles and sea monsters take over the shores of Lake Calhoun as the Minneapolis Aquatennial winds down.
And the Twins sweep past the Angels at the Metrodome this afternoon. We'll have the details and much more next, coming up in the update.
On high, nothing beats a Coors kind of cold. The clean, refreshing taste of Rocky Mountain Gold.
The best of the Rockies is yours.
Good evening, everybody. We will be going back to the Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles after this abbreviated version of the Eyewitness News Update.
And leading our news tonight, 3 women jailed last week for illegally protesting on Sperry Corporation property were unexpectedly released tonight. Reporter Pat Milan joins us now to tell us why the women were suddenly let out.
Well, Karen, the release came following a telephone call to Judge Eugene Atkins. On the phone was one of the 10 women who was convicted of trespassing. She and 6 others had opted to write an essay on civil disobedience and pay a fine instead of serving a jail sentence. Now, the woman told me that she had a long talk with the judge about how harsh a sentence jail had been on the remaining 3 women. And at that point, the judge told her that she could go to the jail and pick them up. Carol Masters, Mary Spearing, and Nancy Mosier said they were totally surprised by the judge's decision. They said jail was much tougher than they ever expected, but they would do it again. Was it worth it?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. It's worth, I mean, we all are willing to put our bodies on the line to do what we can to stop nuclear destruction.
The women said the first 3 things they wanted after getting out, fresh fruit and avocado, and Mary Spearing said she wanted a pizza. The women read a letter inserted into their personal record by the judge. I have not seen a copy of it yet, but the 3 protesters say the judge wrote that he had been seared by the whole situation. And while he did not agree with their actions, he believed the women to be acting on their principles. And the woman who talked to the judge says that he told her that he spent the last few nights tossing and turning, not much sleep for him.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the women feel inclined to do so, will they protest again at Sperry headquarters?
They will get another chance. August 6th is the anniversary of Nagasaki, and they say they will be there for a civil disobedience action and maybe back in jail next weekend.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat Milan. Dennis?
The Democratic ticket of Mondale and Ferraro goes south this week, following the steps of the Republican ticket of Reagan and Bush, which took its message south last week. The Democratic theme that taxes must go up to cut into the huge budget deficits, but the Republicans will not admit it. For Walter Mondale today, it was a day of no campaigning officially, but when he emerged from church services in Minneapolis, Mondale had some words about Reagan's tax plan.
They're planning a big tax increase right after the election, and they're trying to keep it secret from the American people. American people know better, and I have no doubt that tax approach will be one that strikes middle and moderate income Americans very, very hard and leaves Mr. Reagan's rich friends alone.
Mondale also talked about this week's Southern campaign swing with vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro. Reporters wanted to know if the pair were heading into hostile territory. Here is Mr. Mondale's comments on that question.
No, very friendly territory. We got very good reports.
Geraldine Ferraro attended church services in Queens this morning. Afterward, among other things, she responded to criticisms from Jesse Jackson that she was not appointing black women to her campaign staff. Ferraro responded by saying it was premature for black leaders to criticize her appointments since she had not filled all the spots yet.
We are very sensitive. I'm sensitive to the fact that women should be in all the campaigns, and most particularly in mine. I think if people just give me an opportunity to, make my appointments, they're going to be perfectly happy.
Well, after church, she and her husband decided to go play tennis at a private club where she bumped into tennis star Martina Navratilova. It wasn't all play this weekend, though. Ferraro spent much of the time being briefed on military and foreign policy issues.
President Reagan is on vacation in California, but his campaign is not. All weekend, TV spots have been reminding voters of priority bills the president claims are bottled up in Congress. The Democrats are claiming the Republicans are to blame for any bottleneck. Here is a quick look at the legislation they are all talking about. Only one of the volatile social issues on the president's list is a sure bet. The policy of equal access to school buildings by religious groups may be signed into law this coming week. Another church-state issue has come a long way. Silent prayer in schools passed the House, but a delay in the Senate worked earlier this year and probably will again. Another delay. Pro-life forces are likely to get no more than a strong baby dole rule, insisting that deformed infants be given life-saving care. On President Reagan's economic wish list, it is probably too late in the year to get items such as the balanced budget amendment, which has been debated for years to no avail. On defense, the critics will not be able to stop the MX missile, but they will slow it down again. And every cent for military aid to Central America will be hard fought.
Dennis, domestic politics seem to be getting in the way of arms control talks between the U.S. and the Soviet Union this fall. Walter Mondale has accused Ronald Reagan of not aggressively pursuing arms control, but today, Defense Secretary CASPAR Weinberger insisted that the administration's eagerness to meet with the Soviets was unrelated to the fall campaign. Besides, Weinberger said the U.S. will not go to Geneva in September on Soviet terms.
We will go to Vienna, but we are not going to Vienna kowtowing to or capitulating to Soviet demands or preconditions of the kind you've outlined. We think it's important to go to Vienna and to talk about these things, to talk about the things they want to talk about, but not to be bound by a lot of Soviet preconditions that preclude the discussion of how to reduce the most dangerous weapons the world has.
And asked why the Soviets seem to be making acceptance of their arms control plan difficult, Weinberger said they are looking to November.
It may be purely political. They may be simply trying to defeat the President of the United States.
Governor Rudy Perpich has taken the first step toward getting the National Governors Association to go on record in support of pay equity for female state employees. Late this afternoon, a committee of the National Governors Association adopted a statement that would put governors on record in favor of equal pay for equal worth for all public employees. Under the plan, rather than paying market wage rates, jobs would pay according to the ratings of skills, difficulty, danger, and experience. Perpich is at Nashville, where the Governors Association is holding its annual meeting. Karen.
Up north near Duluth, 3 buildings were heavily damaged by fire over the weekend. Arson is suspected in each one. Now, the first fire started yesterday morning at the old Duluth Transit Authority bus barn. The fire started inside the abandoned building. 2 juveniles are in custody. No injuries reported. And no injuries reported following another fire that broke out about 7 hours later across the bay in Superior, Wisconsin. The St. Francis building was destroyed by the blaze, which took firefighters about 10 hours to bring under control. The third fire broke out this morning inside the Carlton House restaurant in West Duluth. 2 firefighters were injured. Both remain hospitalized in fair condition.
Authorities in the small town of Ortonville, Minnesota, have yet to figure out what started a grain elevator fire in that city this morning. That fire broke out at about 9. At one point, flames were shooting from the roof, and smoke could be seen for several miles in that town along the Minnesota-South Dakota border. The elevator was destroyed. No injuries, though, reported.
Dennis, today an official with the McDonald's restaurants toured the scene of the nation's worst single-day mass killing, the McDonald's in San Ysidro, California. He commended the community efforts to create a memorial park, but said a decision on the site's future is not imminent. All that remains of the restaurant is a brick shell. James Oliver Huberty killed 21 people and wounded 19 others there a week ago Thursday. He was later gunned down by police.
We will be back in just a moment with a look at the weather.
And we'll have a look at one of the Aquatennial's most popular events. Stay with us.
The first banks know that as life goes by,
all I need is 5 cents.
Getting a loan gets a little more complicated.
All I need is 500.
Luckily, all the loan information you need...
Dad. Don't call me Dad. All I need is 5,000. Forget it, Four Eyes.
...is as close as your friendly First Bank. Or call our Tele-Information Center.
All I need is 50,000. No problem.
When you have questions about credit, your First Bank has the answers.
Got me a case of the 501 blues. Here from my waist right down to my shoes. You ain't got it, not like me. It's my strength to fit. Permanent identity, 501 blues, legendary 501 blues, Levi Butler.
Get your Levi 501 Blues in the young men's department at Dayton's.
Some of the fastest boats in the world were out on the Mississippi River today. The tunnel-type boats reached speeds of well over 100 miles an hour. A crowd of about 200,000 people lined the banks of the Mississippi to watch drivers compete in the 50-lap Mayor's Cup, the main event in today's Minneapolis Grand Prix and all part of the Aquatennial. Defending champ Renato Molinaro of Italy in boat number 18 took the cup once again. Barry Woods of Oregon finished second.
But there was more than one event on the final day of this year's Aquatennial. At Lake Calhoun, kids and adults matched imaginations in a sandcastle building contest. Dome stadiums were a popular mold this year. 3 of them were constructed, but there were just as many sea monsters. It took the sand architects 3 hours to complete their works, and when it was over, there were 14 winners in different categories. And it was a winner of a day, wasn't it? Great.
Oh. I'd have bet on this day.
Unbelievable weekend. We had a super one here. And across most of the upper Midwest, they had an enjoyable weekend. A lot of warm temperatures showing up to the west. 102 for a record high. That was at Williston, North Dakota. We had the 90s out through the central Dakotas. For Minnesota, though, just about perfect. And that was low to mid 80s. And the high out at the airport did manage to make it to 82 degrees on the almanac today. And the low this morning, a fairly chilly 59. And, of course, it was a dry day. No precipitation out at the airport. Currently, we have partly cloudy skies. Our temperatures dropped down to 71, but very enjoyable dew point of 58, giving us a relative humidity of 64%, south wind at 8 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure rising 30.20 inches. We have partly cloudy skies, and they're coming via northern Minnesota. Those clouds up in the north are producing a few scattered showers and thunderstorms right now from just to the west of Hibbing down to south of Bemidji and stretching out to just east of Fargo. That is moving south-southeastward. There is a possibility of getting a thunderstorm by early morning. The map tomorrow shows most of the shower and thunderstorm activity up north. We could have a rumble of thunder tomorrow right here in the Twin Cities. The forecast for us right now calls for partly cloudy skies tonight, lows of 60 to 64, south winds. The outlook for tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, breezy, and isolated thunderstorm is possible with highs 83 to 88. Then the outlook for Monday night into Tuesday, variable cloudiness, a better chance for showers and thunderstorms, lows in the 60s and highs right back up to where they should be, 83 to 88. So don't be surprised, as I said, if we get a little rumble of thunder right around morning.
Well,
okay,
we had a
Dave.
nice weekend, though.
Pretty
good weekend, yeah. Can't
very
complain.
good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
People always talk about the weather, but if there were the second most popular topic, it's the Twins right now, Larry.
People want to know about them. We're going to talk about them because in sports, the first-place Twins had a devil of a time, but still managed to beat those Angels today. That story and more are coming up on Eyewitness Sports.
Sunday, it's another special Mystery Theater feature. This week, The Mysterious Mr. Wong.
You owls with the rat. We'll make him speak the truth.
Oh, he's mad, I tell you.
The Mysterious Mr. Wong, Sunday night at 11:30 on Channel 5.
I want to see the highlight right now. Give it to me.
Twins are hot. The Twins beat the Angels today 6-5 in 10 innings. That gives the Twins a sweep of that weekend series, and it puts Minnesota a game and a half ahead of the Angels in the American League West. After blowing a lead in the 9th inning, the Twins got a clutch base hit here in the 10th from Tim Tuffle. Dave Engel scored with the winning run, and the Twins had a hard-earned 6-5 victory. The Twins lead the American League West by a game and a half now. Well, Tommy Kramer and Archie Manning led the Purple to a 21-14 victory over the White team in the Vikings intra-squad game today in Mankato. Kramer hit 8 of 11 passes. Manning tossed a TD pass to Joe Senser. Steve Dills had TD strikes to Terry LeCount and Bob Brewer for the losers, who, by the way, had to serve steak and lobster to the winners tonight. The losers got chipped beef. In Connecticut today, Peter Jacobsen won the Greater Hartford Open. Jacobsen shot a 63 yesterday. He wasn't nearly as hot today, but his round of 70 was good enough to give him a 2-stroke victory over Mark O'Meara. On the women's tour, Julie Inkster shot a 67 to win the LPGA tournament in Toronto by 1 stroke. And locally, Chris Perry of Edina went to overtime to win the National Car Open tournament at Bunker Hills today. Perry birdied the second hole of a sudden death playoff to beat Dan Kroonquist. Same-day coverage of that final round can be seen right here on Channel 5 tonight at 11:30. In racing news, Dale Earnhardt won the Talladega 500 stock car race in Alabama today, and Renato Molinari of Italy won the Minneapolis Grand Prix Formula One boat race on the Mississippi River. And as you probably know, the Americans have struck gold out there in Los Angeles in swimming and in cycling, and ABC is going to tell us more about that when we go back to the Olympics.
You know, the Twins, though, in first place by a game and a half this late in the season.
The key is they play Seattle tomorrow, a bummer team. You got to beat the rotten teams and then beat half of the good teams, and you got a shot.
Okay, Larry, thank you. Before we rejoin the Olympics, we'd like to remind you that following the games at 11 o'clock, we'll be back with the Eyewitness News Special Edition, a full half hour of news, weather, and sports, including highlights from the Olympics. And tonight, a special medical report from Dr. Michael Breen. Dr. Breen will tell us about a new treatment for children with crossed eyes. The non-surgical procedure has already been shown to get rid of the problem of crossed eyes among adults. It has promise for the children. Right now, back to the Olympics.
Good evening. Pauley Pavilion, where the fifth rotation on this third session of the men's compulsories is drawing to a close. The United States team is at the floor exercise, and here is our last contestant, Peter Vidmar. They've started off with 9.75, a 9.8, a 9.95, and a 9.70.
Well, I'm sure that they were hoping that the 9.85 might pop a 10 loose here somewhere. So far, it hasn't been so.
You know,
Peter's
Gordon,
going for it.
Excuse me. You know, Gordon, he looks so in shape. I mean, I've never seen him look cleaner and stronger before.
And he has a composed look about him. His face looks good.
6 rotations. This is the fifth coming to an end.
All right, now he's going to roll over. Now, this exercise takes a lot out of you. It's very aerobic. Very nice stalder. Roll to a handstand. Now, remember, after this comes that round-off back handspring, layout back summy that probably cost some of the athletes. That won't cost. That's nice. Now, one of the simple things falls out of it just a trace. We don't know if the judges will take anything away or not. Peter Vidmar. Steady but not great.
Yeah, steady but not great. That's it. He had a couple little breaks here and there. Again, on that scale. See how he was concentrating to hold that scale. You must hold a hold move for 2 seconds. Here's a slow motion look at his dismount. 3 steps. You must take 3 steps into the dismount. It's a round-off back handspring Arabian front. One thing the judges are looking for, getting that height, taking off of the ground. Now, these aren't deductions when your knees are bent in the flip-flop or the back handspring. Takes up nice and high, tucks a little bit early, but comes out with a fairly decent landing.
9.80 for Peter Vidmar, and the United States does quite well on that rotation on floor exercises. That concludes the fifth rotation. In the final rotation, the United States will move over to the pommel horse. Now on videotape, let's show you Bart Connor, who was the third man off on the floor exercise. And this is the way we called it at the time. Bart Connor next on floor exercise.
And boy, he comes up in a great position. Timmy Daggett started with 9.75, and then Scotty Johnson